today we're going to do an exit interview for Jerry Long. Jerry Long is retiring here at the end of 2024. Jerry was actually the first superintendent that I worked with as a project engineer up at the Roland Story High School. So Jerry taught me a lot and shaped a lot of how I looked at work and thought about work, and I'll be curious to hear today how he describes his career and his path, because it's a pretty traditional path, I would say, for somebody of his age and vintage, and pretty unusual for young people today. So we'll hear from Jerry. All right, Jerry, so where did it all begin? Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in a little town called Winfield, southeast Iowa, about 45 miles south of Iowa City.
Okay.
About 1,000 people. Had a graduating class of 35, I think, 34, 35.
Where were you in that graduating class, sort of class rank-wise?
I don't know. I was kind of upper middle, maybe.
All right. Oh, boy.
I'll just say that, but
yeah, it's not like there's no fact checking
right.
there. It's not like we're going to verify it.
But I wasn't, I wasn't the top dog. But
okay.
I probably was, physically and
yeah, clearly, we've established that. So Winfield, right. And do you have siblings?
Yes, I have 2 sisters.
And where are you in the pecking order?
I'm the oldest.
Okay.
Yep. And then Jackie is the middle, and Jackie's around here with Andy, and then Jana, my youngest, is in Tucson, Arizona.
Oh.
With her.
Jeez.
Yep.
She'd be a good one to know.
She would be.
Does she have extra bedroom?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. For you, not
right.
For me.
Right.
All right. So when you were young, what things did you do? Were you in sports? Were you in band? Were you in scouts? What'd you do?
Yeah, I was in scouts. I was in sports, and did a lot of swimming at our pool.
Just like recreational swimming, or like swim team stuff?
Recreational swimming. Yep. Took swimming lessons, life-saving, the whole gamut there, and that was good. And then was really involved. My grandfather had a farm just outside of town, so I was involved out there a lot when I was a kid.
So involved like feeding the barn cats involved, or involved like corn detasseling involved? Well,
we didn't really detassel corn, but we would cut corn out of beans and bale hay. I was the designated driver of the baler.
Okay.
When I was, I don't know, I think it started at 5.
Okay.
No shit. I look back, I think, damn, that's crazy. There's no way I'm going to put a 5-year-old on a tractor.
Well, your grandkids will be disappointed then.
Right. But so I was always busy, doing whatever out on the farm, and then my other grandfather had a business in town, a blacksmith business, and built steel tanks and things like that. And anyway, I would go up and I mess around up at the shop and learned how to weld there, and it was kind of cool.
Your folks, what did they do during the day? What was their day jobs?
Yeah, so my dad started out kind of as a small hobby farmer, and then also worked. He worked at the Army ammunition plant down in West Burlington. So he kind of had a couple of jobs trying to make things work. And so my parents had me when they were 16 years old.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
Right. And anyway, so they were
They were young.
they were young.
They were babies. You wouldn't even let a 16-year-old drive a tractor today, let alone a 5-year-old.
I know it. So anyway, yes, Dad then went to work for my grandfather at Bunker Welding, and kind of ran a crew there, and we worked on several tank jobs. And then he got into the Boilermaker business union and went all over the country.
So was he gone a lot during the week, or even
Later on, yeah, he was, and he was, out of town. I'll say most of my sporting events, he would try to get there. He would always show up late in his work clothes, but he would show up. And,
Sure.
Yep, it was good.
So there was no streaming of your sports back at that time? He actually had to be there?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And so how about your mom? Was she kind of the glue then that
She was.
kept it all together?
She kept it all together. She had several jobs that she would work. I think she worked a bit for my grandfather and his business, and then also had some other jobs uptown for different companies. And
Okay.
yeah, she was always busy, and then trying to keep everything at home running.
Yeah.
You bet.
All right, so you get to graduating, top of your class, graduating class of 35. We've established that. So what were your options, and what'd you choose?
Yeah, so I think it was maybe my junior year. A couple of seniors and I came up to Iowa State to like an engineering workshop
Yep.
type thing. Spent the night, and I had I got to work with some groups and design. I can't remember. I think we designed an egg toss and saving thing. Anyway, that was kind of fun. I had a good time doing that, and I was like, yeah, I think I could make this work, and the whole engineering thing, and
Yeah.
and I had a algebra teacher that was really good. Really helped me to get a grip on that,
Sure.
on learning that, and developing math skills. And the bad thing about it, she would let me stay and finish my tests because I could figure it out, but it just took me a while sometimes. And anyway, so that was good. That kind of fired me up for
Yep.
the whole engineering thing at college. And then I got to college, and when I took tests that kicked my ass, it was like, oh shit, this is serious.
There was a time limit there.
There was a time limit. Yep.
So when did you come to Iowa State?
I came to Iowa State, or graduated in 78. So
Okay.
came to Iowa State the next year, 78.
So when you were at Iowa State, clearly you had academics. Did you have a job? Were you involved in clubs? Were you involved in anything where you lived, or just kind of heads down and booking?
Yeah, I was in AGC, whatever, and but nothing major. I was busy working. I typically worked just during the summer. Didn't really work at school during school. It pretty much took whatever I had.
How were the Iowa
sorted.
State sports teams back then?
They were pretty good. Kind of about the same. I remember the the Nebraska game, football game, where we had beat them at the end and took the goalpost down. Carried the goalposts up to the top of the stadium, threw it over the stadium,
I didn't think you were that strong.
No, I didn't have anything to do with that.
Oh, okay.
I was just there and witnessed it.
Okay.
And then they carried it up and threw it in Lake Laverne. After that, they changed the goalposts. Actually, they made them into wood, which would just splinter and go away. But then they created a new one that they could climb on it and it wouldn't come down.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So when did the lovely Miss Susan come into the mix?
Yeah, so
Is that
Susan,
at Iowa State?
No.
Okay.
Susan was my grade school sweetheart.
Oh, really?
Fifth grade.
Okay.
Yep.
Did she then come to Iowa State as well?
No.
Okay.
No. She went to Kirksville as a vet tech.
Okay.
And I think that separation. So we were together all through high school.
Yep.
And then that separation probably kind of stirred things up and said, "Hey, this isn't working out. We need to get together and stay there." So that's what we did.
Okay.
Got married. And, yeah.
So
81.
were you married before you graduated from Iowa State?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So where'd you live then?
That probably saved my.
That straightened you right out.
Right.
So did you live in married student housing or?
We did. We lived out in University Village.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was a good time. Good
What
couple
number?
Years.
What unit number?
It was like 24 or 124 maybe.
Okay. Have you ever been back?
I've driven by there, but it's been a long time.
All right. All right. So so you graduate. What was the job market like? What were your options? And then where'd you go and why?
Yeah, so it was pretty tight back in the early 80s for jobs, and I had looked around and had gone out to Colorado and done some interviews and went down to I didn't really go down to Texas, but I had hooked up with a company. I can't even remember the name of it. But anyway, they had ended up offering me a job down there. And I was like, gosh, dang it. I didn't really want to head down down to Texas. I wasn't excited about that. And I had gotten an offer locally with Todd and Sargent. And I was like, yeah, I think I'll do that. And started out as a steel inspector on some lifts, some elevator projects that they had done or were doing.
Okay.
And probably, I don't know, a year or so into that, then I interviewed at Iowa State with Story. Yeah, Charlie Bell.
So,
interviewed me.
like through the College of Engineering interview or
Yep.
at a job site somewhere?
Through the College of Engineering. Yep.
Okay.
Seemed like it would be a good opportunity, and so I kind of kept in touch and went to school and went back and did an interview and got hired. Yeah.
So, Charlie Bell interviewed you. Did you meet anybody else, or what was your offer for a specific project, for the office, for what?
It was for I'll say a specific project as a timekeeper.
Boy, that's a recurring theme in these exit interviews. I mean, we had timekeeper was sort of a gateway drug to coming to Story and staying with Story.
Yeah. So anyway, and that was down in Iowa City at the Maybe Theater project. So
Was that something at the University of Iowa or something in town?
University of Iowa.
Okay.
Yep. Right along the river.
Okay.
just south of Hampshire Auditorium.
Okay.
Yeah, really fun project.
So were you,
Got a lot of-
as a timekeeper then, you were on site?
Yep,
Yep.
yep.
So did you and Susan move there, or had you established a home here and then you just traveled?
Yeah, we had established a home here, and I just traveled down and spent a week and would come back. So yeah, it was a good project, good good experience. And
So you were timekeeper, then sort of go through the progression of positions and roles that you had and kind of mark time with that.
yeah. So timekeeper was basically a job just to have the opportunity to go out and see the work, watch what's going on. I think we did it every couple of hours. We'd make a round and check with the foreman how everything's kind of the same or what's
Yep.
going on, and
Yep.
and then jot down what everybody was doing. Then I would head back into the office, and that particular job, we had a lot of structural steel, and I remember getting handed a stack of 8.5 by 11 shop drawings, structural steel shop drawings, and they said, "Here, check these and make sure they're all right." And it was a bit overwhelming. I was like, "Are you shitting me?"
So who asked you to do that? Like, who were some of the people on that job?
Yeah, so Marty Martinson was the superintendent.
Okay.
John Judge was there. And we had a couple of other superintendents, production superintendents that
Yep.
were local kind of guys. Dean Porath was our manager.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good project. Probably I learned a lot on that job, and about, I don't know, just finishing up the foundations. We had Blackhawk Foundations come in and drove a bunch of piling, steel H piles for the foundations, and then we put pile caps on top of those. And right down along the river, it needed quite a bit of support.
Yeah.
And anyway, we got into a situation where we needed a welder, certified welder, to add on to piling, and so I stayed late a couple nights and got my practiced my welding and got my certificate,
I'll be darned.
and then I was able to work.
Okay. So is that building still standing?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You bet.
So your welding
Yep.
has stood the test of time. That's good.
Yep. You bet. Another thing on that project, I don't know exactly when it was, middle of summer. Marty Martinson, he was an older fella. All of a sudden, he was having chest pains, and he said, I don't know what's going on, Jerry. And I said, well, I think we better get to the hospital. And, the hospital was right around the corner.
Yeah.
And I put him in his truck, and I drove him over to the hospital, and he did a balloon or angiogram or whatever to save a blockage or release a blockage, and he ended up okay. But
Was he on the job the next day, or was
no,
he off
he was
for
off
a period of time?
Quite a while. Yep. Donnie Paris came down and ran the rest of it.
Okay. Well, then looking at your resume, you did a lot of water and wastewater treatment plants after that. So were you traveling to sites? Were you a PE, project engineer on those jobs?
Yeah. Well, so I worked a couple different jobs as a foreman. Newton project, wastewater, I did as a foreman. And really, Larry Dix had designed a shoring and formwork setup for these aeration mixers. It was a big, deep tank, about 30 foot deep, and we had to pour 4 columns, and then form and pour a walkway with a big equipment pad on these columns up at the top, and then the mixers sat up there, and there was several of those in this tank, and anyway, I got to form those and put that together, and with a crew, and take it down and strip it, and it was pretty cool. It was like, man, this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, then I went on up to Cedar Falls as a foreman, set some equipment up there with Jimmy and Larry Sperlich, and did some welding, and then I went down to Cargill and put some pipe in.
Eddyville? Okay.
Yep. Put some pipe in, air piping, and down. So the Newton job and the Cargill job, one of our millwright guys taught me how to align motors, and that was kind of cool. Gave me a set of tools to do that, and I kind of liked doing specialty things like that.
Sure.
That was kind of fun.
So when did you become a superintendent?
So I started in '83, and my first job as a superintendent was the Ames water treatment plant in '87.
Okay.
So
Pretty young.
4 years. I was young.
Yeah.
Yep. And my foremen or production superintendents were Jimmy Rogers. He ran the clarifier, and then eventually Marty Martinson came over and he did another little project. It was kind of a ramp set up to drive up into the building. But anyway, it was good to have those guys on my crew. I mean,
they made your team pretty strong.
They made my team pretty strong. Okay. Yep. And they did a good job. They let me, give me enough rope, but not enough to hang myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they did good.
So then, just sort of fast forward, so you were superintendent for how long, and then then became a project manager.
So from '87, I was superintendent up until about 2000, and became a manager in 2000. So the superintendent years were probably most enjoyable. They were fun.
Long hours.
Good. Yeah.
Yep.
Long hours, but you could just focus on one job, one project, and get it done. And moving into the office and trying to do several jobs. It's like you're never done. It's just a perpetual.
Yeah, that's a fact. So during this time, you and Susan had a family. So how did that line up with you being a superintendent or a PM?
Well, yeah. So it's a good thing that Susan is who she is and has the patience of Job and the backbone to carry it through. She pretty much ran the show at home. Actually started. She ended up staying at home. She was working, and after we had Levi, the second child, then it was just babysitting. Finding a babysitter that you could trust and would work out was tough. And so anyway, she decided to stay home, and then she started having other kids come in that we knew, friends, And so she was the babysitter,
Yep.
and that worked great. But that's a that's a tough toll to put on somebody. And
Yep.
and I would just stroll in, and the kids would be all excited,
Yeah.
because I come home for the week and spend the weekend, and then I would get up at early in the morning, 3 o'clock, and she would get up, make me breakfast, and I'd hit the road for the job, and be gone for the week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was I don't know. There was a time later on when it was like, she said, I've had it. I can't deal with this, and I can't remember exactly which job it was, but I was gonna head back over out of town, and she said, no, this isn't gonna work. And I said, okay, well, I'll just quit. And then for some reason that didn't shake out that I had to go away, so I didn't quit.
Okay. Well, and here we are today.
Here we are today. Right, right.
So as you reflect back on your career, sort of every job has memories. Any more sort of meaningful or memorable ones where you say, yeah, that was a big deal, or that meant something?
Yeah. I would say the project up in Waterloo, the pump station project, was a big thing. I mean, it basically a pump station that was 30 foot in the ground and right next to a set of trickling filters, and right next to their head works building. And it was like, we're going to freaking dig a hole here 30 foot in the ground, and how are we going to do that? And anyway, that whole process of design and figuring out, we're going to drive sheeting in the ground and going to excavate down and pour a ring beam and then excavate on down and then build the structure and then backfill and cut the ring beam loose and pull the sheeting, and just that whole project. And I really didn't know anything about driving sheeting or anything, but so you just dig into it and you figure out the details and what it's going to take. And we had a lot of planning, meetings, I'll say, that with the crew, and figuring out, we're going to have this crew over here, or these guys over here,
Yeah.
and how things are going to happen. And that was, we drove a 105 foot diameter coffer dam out of 50 foot sheets, drove them down in the ground, and we made the connection at the end, and so we had a tight ring, and the idea was that we were going to drive them down, sink them into the bedrock, and then pump out the center, and it would, just like a bathtub, you pump it out and go to work.
Be dry. Yeah.
But that really didn't happen.
Yeah. Wait, what?
We figured out that all the rock was fissured down there, and just water was. Well, so anyway, then it become a situation where you just have to add more horsepower and pump more water and
Pump it faster than it comes in.
Right. We were pumping a 24-inch diameter effluent line full for months and months, and we got her down and got her built.
How about what else? Any other job that you would think about in your career? Like, hey, that was a big deal.
You mean a project?
Yeah,
wise?
project.
Yeah. The projects that are deep in the ground, and you have to drive sheeting and figure out how to support things. In 2012, we did a Des Moines WRA outfall project with Lloyd, and that was intense. And whenever you're on a job like that, and and you realize what could go wrong with where things are at, and you get this, I don't know, kind of gut churn that is like, whoa, this is some shit here.
Yeah, yeah. When's the last time you've had that feeling?
Well, in 2014, we did one up at Waterloo, up at Tyson, Stun Pit.
Yep.
Had it there. We also did one in Louisville, but that one I was not quite as attached to. I think Larry was more attached to that one. But you know, you work with the engineers that design it, and you kind of understand the whole process, and realize you'd go up there and see the deflection in the sheets. It's like, holy shit, this is we're cutting it. This is close.
Yeah. Well, in your career, you've worked with a lot of characters and a lot of people that have invested in you or made a mark on you. You probably can't name them all, but are there a couple of that stand out, like meaningfully teaching you things or helping to shape how you think about things?
Yeah. Yep. So I've got two guys early in my career, and then all throughout my career, really. Jim Rogers was really fun to work with. He was always thinking, I'll say, outside the box a bit to come up with ideas, and just really it made things interesting and and fun. And I'd say the other person is Larry Sperlich. I learned a lot from him, especially attention to detail. He's all about the details, and that's where it's at.
Yep.
So,
well, you grew up in the work, and you benefited from that, and your career's really been defined by that.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say that that's the best direction you should go. I didn't convince either of my boys to go there, so, and for the better, I think.
Yeah. Doctor and a pharmacist, is that right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's fine, but yeah, I mean, I have fun doing it, and that's what makes sense. So
yeah. So this is literally your last Friday. So as you turn the page and look to the future of retirement, what do you look forward to? What do you think you'll miss?
I'll definitely miss the people. I think it's been fun to work with everybody, and I'll say the challenge to try to get everything done when you need to get it done.
You'll miss that?
I will a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know you camp. I know you fish. I know you've got a farm property that you do things on. So you'll do those things. Travel? Will you guys travel?
Yeah. We plan to travel. We haven't been able to travel as much as we would like in the States with our camper. So that's kind of what we're going to plan to do. Got a trip planned out west, I'll say, this summer. So like to see some parks that not been able to go to yet. So,
yeah. So for several years, we had a barn party in the fall out at your place. And since COVID and, it hasn't been there. But you've often said, hey, it's a lot of work to clean up my barn. I don't have time. But actually now you're going to have time. So we'll look forward to that barn party next fall.
We might have to pull that together.
Yeah, we'll find a 5-year-old to drive the tractor.
Right.
for the hay rack ride.
Yep.
Any other things to share as you think about your career in the industry, your career at Story? Anything for the good of the order?
Yeah, I think, I would say to the younger guys, utilize your experienced coworkers
Yeah.
as much as you can. Dig into the details and have fun. That's it's a short life, so don't get all hung up on situations that you can't control. So just do the best you can.
So it is your last Friday, and I see Jerry and his wife Susan at the gym at 5:30 in the morning. And Jerry's assured me that 5:30 will now be 8 o'clock gym time.
Right.
So I won't even see him there much. But we'll have a retirement party for Jerry next Wednesday here at the office, and we'll look forward to not only seeing your family, but a lot of people that you've made an impression on and have made an impression upon you. So,
Bet.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
So there you hear it. You heard it really from Jerry Long. When it's deep in the ground and it's complicated, it raises his blood pressure, and candidly, it takes a lot to raise Jerry's blood pressure. And that's sort of the thrill of the work for him. He's clearly been impacted by many and impacted many in his career, and we wish him all the best. Go, Jerry.